guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video because I want you guys to help me plan my 2021 project pans. This was a video I saw done by Sarah Rose and Natasha from Too Much Tosh. I will have both of their videos linked down below, and I thought it was such a fun idea to kind of get you guys involved in my project pan planning. Geez, that's a tongue twister. I have a ton of products in front of me that I have kind of had on my ongoing list of products that I am planning to pan or try and use up, and I want you guys to try and help me decide which products I'm going to be mixing up all the P words throughout the entire video, but I want you guys to help me plan or decide which products I should put into my project pan first. I am going to be scaling back just ever so slightly on the project pan this year, and not in the amount of projects that I'm doing, but in the amount of products in each project. So instead of doing 21 in 2021, I'm going to be doing a year-long rolling project 10 pan, and then I plan to involve myself in many other projects. I'm going to do the whole collection project pan again. I'm continuing to do roulette pan collab. I'm going to be doing the Partners in Cream project pan again. I hope that the Graveyard project pan happens again next year, so there'll be lots of projects along the way, but I would love to hear from you guys which products you would like to see me pan first. So if you're interested in seeing the products that I need help deciding, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you love project panning videos, palette content, or just chatting about makeup, I would love if you would subscribe before moving on. And other than that, let's just jump into the video. Today's drink of choice is water. Fiji water, to be exact, because clearly I'm like the bougiest. Just kidding. But I do like to indulge in Fiji water sometimes. I really don't think it tastes any different than regular water, but when I was younger, I used to convince myself it did. Ooh, this is so off topic and random, but so fitting for me and my channel. If you guys have a problem with it, probably not best you subscribe if you're newer, because we go on tangents all the time. What is your favorite bottled water brand? And I know bottled water is a controversial topic. I actually love me a good actual like water bottle. But the other night I was at Quick Trip, which is a gas station here in Minnesota, and I couldn't help myself and I had to purchase Fiji water, but I think I prefer Smart Water. That would be my favorite if I was buying bottled water, which again, I really don't do that often. Last disclaimer before we start, because I mean, we always have to do a disclaimer on my channel. If my makeup is looking a little bit less than fresh, it's about halfway through the day. I filmed a couple videos today and I had pasta with red sauce for lunch. So I feel like there might be some like pasta sauce on my chin. No big deal, just ignore anything that you might be seeing that's less than fresh. Okay, so I have this big box of products filled with products that I keep an ongoing list throughout the year of like things that I'm thinking I want to pan. And usually with my project pans, I like to pan items that I like, so it's not gonna be like I'm hate panning an item, but also products that I would likely not repurchase because obviously I'm trying to move it out of my collection. But I do want to toss in this year some more of my like favorite products as well, just so I feel like I enjoy my projects a little bit more. So there's products in here that I like but wouldn't repurchase or replace, and then I do have some products in here that are staples and are favorites and I will replace when I finish them. But I feel like that was my mistake last year. I didn't try and pan any products that I would replace, therefore I got a little bit of project pan burnout. We're gonna kick it off with primers, concealers, and foundations. Now, I went through a ton of primer this year and I did end up repurposing a lot of my primers this past year. I found that I love trying new primers, which I've known, but I also feel like I'm a little bit picky about my primers. I also love primer. It's like a step that I get excited for, which is super nerdy because like you end up covering it up anyway. But I did repurpose quite a few primers this year, mixed like shimmery primers in with body lotions to kind of repurpose them, used hydrating primers that I didn't love as moisturizers, etc. I only have two primers currently that I'm considering panning this year. The first one is my Charlotte Tilbury Wonder Glow Primer. This one is one of the older primers in my collection. This is also incredibly expensive. I want to say this cost $50 or $55 for this primer. I still have quite a bit of this left, like quite a bit, and I feel like this is nothing special for what it is. This is something that I could repurpose and put into a body lotion, but it's so expensive that I feel guilty doing that. So I would like to use this up as just a regular face primer. It says that it has an instant soft focus, or it's like a soft focus primer. I really don't get that, and it's a little bit more golden than I would personally prefer. Oh my gosh, saying all these words that start with a P are like tripping me up. But it's a little bit more golden than I would personally prefer, but I definitely would like to move this out of my collection by the end of next year because it is expensive. I want to get my money's worth, and it is getting old in my collection as well. And then I also wanted to throw in one of my favorite primers. This is something that I absolutely would replace, but I feel like this has collected dust, and there's been so many times I've wanted to reach for it but haven't because I've been trying to pan so many other primers. So I want to give myself a pass, and I want to work on a primer that I absolutely love, and this is the First Aid Beauty Coconut Skin Smoothing Priming Moisturizer. This is still pretty full. Again, I feel like I've been neglecting this because I've been trying to pan so many other primers. So I want to give myself a primer that I know I love, I know I want to use. I still would repurchase this though when finished. Then moving on to foundation, I always feel like I try to pan a ton of different foundation. I was super successful in using up a lot of foundation in 2019. I have not been as successful in 2020, but I'm still going to try and pan quite a few different foundations, and all of my foundations are foundations that I want to use up and get out of my collection. So this is one that is kind of like a roll-in, or will be a roll-in from this year. This is the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. I just don't love this. I tried to pan this year. I didn't finish it because I just wasn't enjoying reaching for it. But I don't like dislike it. It's just fine in my opinion. There's just so many other foundations I would prefer over this one. And I also brought a lot of foundation into my collection this year, but absolutely would like to finish this up at the very latest end of next year. This one I brought into my collection this year. This is something that I am currently working on in, I think, my whole collection project pan. I get all my projects confused as well, but this is the Smashbox Studio Skin 24-Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation. This used to be a foundation that I really enjoyed, but now that I've tried more foundations, this is something that I just don't see as a permanent staple in my collection. I really like it and really enjoy using it, which is a reason I do want to pan it, but when I finish this, I wouldn't replace this. Another one I have is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. This is another foundation that used to be like my holy grail foundation, but I just don't love this one as much as I used to. It's just a little bit more full coverage than I have been preferring. This is like my third or fourth jar of this. So this, again, used to be an absolute staple. I shouldn't have an issue using this up because I do like the foundation. It's just not something I would replace when I finish. So I thought it would be a good one to toss into a project. Another old holy grail foundation that I just have not found myself reaching for lately is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow Foundation. I have mine in the shade 202. I've gone through probably 5 or 6 of these in the past, and again, this has just not been one that I have found myself inclined to reach for lately, and this one is getting older in my collection, so I would like to finish this one up. This one is one that I would repurchase when I finish, but I just need to use this one up because it is going to be expiring. In fact, this usually has an expiration date on it, but I'm not seeing it. But this is the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Cream. This is the illuminating version. I talk about this literally all the time on my channel, so I don't want to drone on. It has SPF 50. I absolutely love this. This is a staple summertime foundation. I would prefer to not roll this in right at the beginning of 2020 just because this is a foundation that I typically reach for more in the spring and summertime, but I want to say this will be pushing 2 years come this spring and summer, so it really will be time to finish this one up, move this out of my collection, and then bring a new one in. But this is like an absolute staple for my spring and summertime makeup routine, but I would like to finish that one up because it is getting older. And then this one I used to like a lot, and the last few times I've used it, I just have found that this has felt a little bit heavier than I have been preferring. This is the Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. You are getting 1.6 fluid ounces in this as opposed to the standard 1 fluid ounce, so I still have a lot of this left. Now this is more of a summertime shade for me, so probably not one that would be great for me to roll in right at the beginning of the year either, but I have seen this on sale for like 40% off at Sephora, so I don't know if they're phasing this out or what's going on with it. Regardless, I would just like to move this out of my collection because it is no longer a favorite of mine. Moving on to the concealers that I have. So I decided that I will at some point be interested in working on my Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. This again used to be a favorite, and the last few times I've used it, I don't know if it's the masks or what, but I feel like this just looks really creasy underneath my eyes, and it's just not a favorite anymore. We're gonna get to my new favorite concealer because I'm also tossing that in, but there's so much product in this. I feel like I would be working on this for such a long time. This is something that I could, because it is a little bit lighter, I could potentially mix it with a darker foundation to get some use out of it, but this is definitely one that I would love to finish by the end of next year because this one is getting a little bit older in my collection as well. And then speaking of my favorite concealer, I have the Kosas Revealer Concealer, and the reason I'm tossing this one into the mix is because one, again, I would love to work on a concealer that is kind of a favorite of mine so I don't feel guilty reaching for it. Two, my cap is broken on mine, so I would love to finish this off and then replace it. This is absolutely like my favorite concealer, so we'll be repurchasing no matter what, but it is a little bit annoying to use because of that broken cap, so I would like to finish this off and then just replace it. And then I also have this one from Ilia. This is definitely a very light, sheer to light coverage concealer. I personally don't mind that because I don't have a ton that I usually need to conceal underneath my eyes, but it isn't a favorite concealer of mine, not one that I would repurchase, and I felt like this would be a good one to try and use up. And then I also have this one from RMS. This is a potted concealer. It's their Uncover Up Concealer. I actually have used a good chunk of this. This was something I was going to try and use up this year, and then I sort of like pushed this to the wayside. This was something that I was using as something to set my eyes with, and after finding Robert Welsh this year and learning that using concealer as an eye primer is a huge no-no, at least in his eyes, I've really come to really enjoy eye primers and haven't been using a concealer as an eye primer. So this is getting old in my collection. I would like to use this up. This isn't something I would replace, but I would like to use it up rather than declutter it. I only have one powder right now that I am interested in working on in a project, and I feel like I'm going to regret this the second it goes into my project, but it is the Hourglass Luminous Light Powder. This is like a finishing powder. I use this in so many different ways, but I also just don't love this. Like, it's definitely not something I would repurchase because I feel like it's an extra step in my makeup routine. I sometimes use this as a highlight. I sometimes use this as a finishing powder. I sometimes use this to help like clean up my bronzer. I sometimes use this to help clean up my eyeshadow. And I've heard people say they go through this quickly, and I've had this probably 2.5, 3 years at this point. And even though I do have a good dip going in the center, I just feel like I would love to finish this up next year, but I don't feel like that's gonna happen. I would just love to hit pan in this. So that will be my goal. I do want to put this into a project because I definitely feel like I have so much more motivation to use this, obviously, when it isn't a project. I feel like I need motivation to get use out of this. It is getting older though, so it needs to either get used up or decluttered, and because I paid so much for this, I would like to use it. Alrighty, I have 3 bronzers I want to work on. I feel like I didn't do as well with bronzers this year. I love bronzer though. I love trying new bronzer, and my goal with we'll get into it. So my goal with this first one, the NARS Sunwashed bronzer, is I cracked mine, so technically I've already hit pan on it. I reached my goal. Kidding. Let me just my goal is going to be just to hit pan on this. Hopefully we don't have a lot of issues because of that little cracked corner. Did I drop this like recently? Today? I don't know how that cracked. My goal is just going to be to hit pan on this, or maybe to like use half of this now that I have like a little pan going here. My goal is not going to be to use this up to completion, but my goal is going to be to use this quite a bit and hopefully maybe hit pan more in like the center. And then I also have my Ilia bronzer, which I feel like I've made really good progress in already this year. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but you already can see like the rings from the pan. My goal with this one is going to be to use this up. I'm trying to think if I've used, yes, I've used full-size bronzers up in the past. I've used the Becca bronzer up as well as the Butter bronzer. So I would like to finish a full-size bronzer. I did not finish a full-size bronzer in 2020. I don't have any pans with the exception of this cracked bronzer. I don't have any pans on any of my bronzers right now. So I mean, it's going to be a task to use this up, but I do enjoy this bronzer. I don't believe this is one I would repurchase. I really like it, but I have others that are definitely I prefer over this one, so I would like to just probably use that up and move on with my life. And then I also am going to work on the Cover FX Bronzing Duo. Now, this used to be an absolute favorite of mine. I feel like I prefer the Charlotte Tilbury over this one right now. But this is still an absolute favorite of mine, and my goal is going to be to use up this entire side. Now, if I use up this entire side, I would throw the compact away or declutter it, see if there's anyone who would want maybe this side. But usually when I reach into this, I'm only reaching into the matte bronzer. Sometimes I will mix the two, but rarely, if ever, am I reaching into just this side. I am going to give myself the goal to completely finish off this side, though. That would be really exciting for me. I've had this in my collection over a year now, so I would love to finish that off. Moving on to blush. Blush is the bane of my existence when it comes to project panning. I have hit pan on one blush in my life, and I always regret putting blush into my projects. So we're gonna go for it again this year. We're gonna try and hit pan on my Hourglass Mood Exposure because I feel like pan has to be coming soon. This has now been going in 2 year-long projects. It was in my 19 and 2019, and it was in my 20 and 2020. And still, I mean, there's still no pan. I would love to finish this up, but honestly, I would just be happy to get a glimpse of what the pan looks like in this. This is a big product, so I imagine it's like a waffle pan, but a girl doesn't know until she actually hits pan, and I would really, really, really love to hit pan on this one. This Smashbox Trio. This was one of my first blush products in my collection. And with this, so this was going in my 18 and 2018 project. And with this, I would really love to hit pan on this like highlight slash blush topper. This is in the shade Highlight Coral. And I actually have a pretty good dip going on this. I really like to mix this with this shade. To be honest with you, I would just really like to hit pan on this shade and this shade, this hot pink shade in the center, not want to get a ton of use out of. And to be honest, I feel like I need to probably declutter this no matter what by the end of this year because this is really old. I think I got this in 2016. Not that like I really care, like if powder products are still performing well, that's fine, but if I hit pan on these two shades, I feel like I would be comfortable decluttering at the end of the year. So that is going to be my goal with the Smashbox Trio. And then I also want your guys' help deciding which of these two Kosas duos I should work on. So these are the cream formula, and I have the shade Tropic Equinox, which is obviously more of a bronzy nude blush tone and highlight. And with this, I would like to just hit pan and see like how much of the product I can use up. Obviously, my first goal is just going to be to hit pan, and then we would go from there, like decide if I would want to use up the whole thing. And then I also have the shade Velvet Melon, which is a really beautiful coral shade. I love coral blushes as well. And I think I prefer the highlight in this one just a little bit more. These are the newer formula. So these have an 18-month shelf life. I think they used to have a 6-month shelf life. So I still do have quite a good amount of time with both of these, but I thought that these would be fun ones because these are favorite formulas of mine. So this would be a product that I would be really excited to reach for. And again, I definitely want to pop in products that I'm really excited to be using. And then more highlighters. Speaking of blush slash highlight, we weren't really talking about highlight. There is the highlight shade in those duos. My Fenty Kilowatt highlight in Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. This is probably my favorite highlighter in my collection, although this year I definitely really went ham on the pink toned highlights, and I've just like fallen even deeper in love with pink toned highlighters. So obviously you can see this has major pan on this side. My goal with this would be to hit pan on the more intense side and then to completely use up the more subtle side. I would definitely have to repress this. When I finish this, this is a highlighter that I absolutely would repurchase because when I'm my fairest, I feel like this is the absolute perfect highlighter shade for me. So this is something that I definitely am interested in. My packaging is also like broken. It won't shut all the way. So this is definitely, it's always so noisy on my street. This is another one that like I really enjoy having in my collection. It's one of my favorites. So I just kind of want to replace it, but I feel guilty replacing it if I haven't like used it up. So I would like to use that one up. Also, my RMS Beauty Living Luminizer Quad. This is just the mini quad. You guys know I have raved about this quite a bit on my channel recently. I would love to use up maybe like the entire thing actually, so that I could feel better about replacing or buying the larger Living Luminizer Quad, but really it's these two highlights that are my favorite. So when I finish both of those, that's when I would feel comfortable replacing and buying the larger Living Luminizer Quad. So my goal with this one is going to be to finish up those two highlights. That's kind of my plan with this. And then I also absolutely adore this Bobbi Brown highlighter in the shade Pink Glow. Like I said, I love me a good pink tone highlight. I worked on the Becca Rose Quartz highlight all this year. I just have the mini in the Becca Rose Quartz. I would like to finish that up in 2021 too. I feel like I'm really close with that one, but I wanted to toss in another pink toned highlight. This is like an icier pink, and my goal with this would just be to, oh, it's so pretty. It is so freaking pretty. One of my favorite highlights in my collection. My goal with this would just be to hit pan. If I could use this all the way up, I mean, that would be incredible. But I have been having fun trying to hit pan on highlights. I feel like I'm getting better at panning highlighter. Oh my gosh, I'm like, this is so pretty. I forget how pretty this highlighter is. This might have to be one that we toss in right away at the beginning of 2021, but my goal would be to hit pan on that. Then I have 3 face palettes that I wanted to also toss into the mix. So first up, I have this Lancome highlighting trio. I already hit pan on the shade Frosted Rose. I really enjoy this shade, but I would love to hit pan on the shade Sparkling Peach, which is a really beautiful like peachy gold shade. This is definitely something that works better for me in the spring and summertime, but I would just like to, like, if I could hit pan honestly on all 3 of these shades, I would be really happy with that. Again, if I could hit pan on just like a ton of highlighters this year, I would be excited, even though I feel like I've been liking less and less highlight, like a little bit more subtle highlight. I also wanted to hit pan on one of my ABH Glow Kits because I've owned these for so long, and I don't think I have pan on any of the highlighters. The Sun Dipped I thought would be the best option just because this one is probably my favorite of the ones that I own. I am really close to hitting pan on bronze. My daughter scratched this when she was younger, so I'm probably really close on this one. Sometimes I'll use this as an eyeshadow, but I would like to hit pan on either Summer or Moonstone at some point this year, or both would be really exciting. I feel like the pans, looking at this bronze shade, the pans are really deep. So this one would take a while, but I still really enjoy this formula. I think it's a good one. And then I also wanted to toss in my Becca Après-Ski Glow Face Palette. And my goal with this, oh shoot, I feel like this is, that opal shade looked like it was cracking potentially. My goal with this would be to hit pan on potentially multiple shades. So my favorite highlighter of all time is in this palette. This is Becca Rose Quartz, but I would prefer to finish off my mini before moving on to trying to hit pan on this. I would also love it if I could hit pan on the bronzer, which is in Bronze Bondi, and then also the blush. Now this isn't, let's be honest, we're not gonna hit pan on the blush. It's just not gonna happen. But if I could hit pan on Rose Quartz as well as the bronzer in this palette, I would be really excited and happy with that. I have one other eye product that I would like to finish off this year. This is the Wander Beauty liquid eyeshadow, and I have the shade Dove Gray. I don't know if you'll be able to see that huge window I have going. I worked on this in my Partners in Cream project this year and got some really good use on it. I think it's really pretty. I just don't reach for this unless it's in a project. And I feel like oftentimes all of my like liquid shadows, I'm thinking of like my Stila Glittering Glows, they always dry up before I can finish them. So I would really like to actually finish up a liquid eyeshadow rather than having it dry up on me. And then we're gonna round it out with lip products. Lip products are like the bane of my existence, but I also have a lot of fun with them. Lipsticks, I'm really bad at panning. So the two lipsticks that I want to work on this year, I have this one from Fenty Beauty. It is, I forget what she called these, but this is in the shade Makeout Break, and this reminds me quite a bit of Maybelline Baddest Beige, which I've been working on all year in my whole collection project pan. I feel like this is a really beautiful shade. It's a beautiful color. I feel like I would be capable of finishing this off. Very usable, very day-to-day wearable, a super comfortable formula. Not the most long-lasting, so you kind of have to apply often. Probably not one that I would repurchase just because I don't necessarily think it's worth it for the money because of how often you have to reapply. And again, this one's so similar to Maybelline Baddest Beige. I would just spend the $9 on Maybelline Baddest Beige over this. And then I would like to finally hit pan on Tarte Rum Punch. This has been going in quite a few different projects. I think this was going for sure, if it wasn't my 18 and 2018, this was going in 19 and 2019. And then I also had this in my Graveyard Project pan. It's such a beautiful shade. One of my favorite lipsticks in my entire collection, but for some reason I just cannot get myself to finish this up. This is how much I have left. Would love, 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 love to finish that in 2021. I have a Fenty Gloss Bomb I would love to finish. I finished, I think, 2 Gloss Bombs this year. Both of them were smaller sizes. I've gone through a full size of the Fenty Gloss Bomb in the past, and I really would love to finish up Fenty Fussy in the large, like original, in the regular size packaging. Fenty Fussy is actually my least favorite shade of all of the ones permanent to her line. I definitely prefer Fenty Glow to this one, and then I also really like Sweet Mouth. So beautiful. I also really like Diamond Dust. This one isn't horrible, but it's not like my favorite by any means. It's just fine. I feel like I probably have almost a full tube left of this because one of the minis I finished this year was in Fenty Fussy, so I was reaching for that over this. But I would like to finish this up. I have so much gloss in my collection. I need to be like working my way through gloss this year, and I have so many Fenty glosses as well. It would be nice to move this one out of my collection. Okay, you may have seen some lip products sitting back here all video long. One of them being my Tower 28 lip jelly in the shade Coconut. This is a really beautiful mid-tone pink, and you guys know I have raved and raved and raved about the Tower 28 lip jellies, so I thought that this would be a fun one to try and get through a Tower 28 lip product since I love them so much, and I thought this was a really nice wearable shade. So this is definitely something I will work on panning in 2021. I also would really like to finish up a liquid lipstick. I've tried to pan 2 Dose of Colors liquid lipstick in my past 2 year-long project pans and been unsuccessful. So I thought this would be a good one to toss into a project. This is from Rare Beauty and it's a mini. So I thought it would definitely be more approachable in terms of my goal. And this is in the shade Fearless. I love this. This is something that I would be interested in owning in the full size, which is why I would love to finish off the mini so that I can go on and repurchase the full size. Here is the shade Fearless. It's like my perfect mid-toned shade, and what I love about the Rare Beauty formula is that it is more buildable, so it's not super opaque right away, and you can wear it more as like a blotted lip liquid lipstick, or you can build it to like more opacity, and it is really comfortable. It's more of like a whipped sort of velvety moussey type of texture. I wouldn't say it's the most long lasting, but I personally would go for comfort over long lasting. So I definitely feel like I could finish this in 2021, and this would definitely be a goal of mine, obviously. Oh my gosh, sometimes I'm like, girlfriend, you should like start reading the dictionary again to like expand your vocab. And then I have 2 more liquid lipsticks, and you're probably thinking to yourself, Steph, didn't you just say you've tried to pan full-size liquid lipsticks in the past and been unsuccessful? Yes. Now, these are very old in my collection, definitely expired, but they don't smell bad, and they don't give me a reaction, and they don't taste bad. These are 2 of the ColourPop Ultra Matte Liquid Lips, and I have the shade Midi as well as Beeper. I think Beeper is still available, definitely not Midi. I have been unofficially trying to pan both of these all year. I see a window right here in Midi. I think you guys can hopefully see that as well. So I know I'm getting close to finishing this, and like I said, I would just love to finish a full-size liquid lipstick. And then in Beeper, I have about a window in the same spot. So both of these, like, I'm confident I could finish them. They're definitely well past their prime, well past their expiration. So if these are not finished by the end of 2021 for some reason, like, they absolutely need to make their way to the trash, but I would love to finish them. you know, whew. And after that, those are all of the products that I am considering and interested in working on throughout my projects this year. Obviously, I won't have a say in some of the projects, like my whole collection project pan will just be randomly selected for me. But I would love to hear from you guys in the comments below. What products should I focus on first? I am getting ready to film my intro to my rolling project 10 pan in the next like 2 weeks or so. So let me know what products you guys would like to see in that introduction. Other than that, thank you so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video. Bye.